And we are live. I'm live with Stuart Austin. Hey, Stuart.
How's it going, Katie?
Apologies for the delay, everyone. We had a few technical issues that we were overcoming, and
Yeah, we had the technical issues. Yeah.
How you doing, Stuart?
I'm good. I'm good. I've finished banging this iPad into the wall to make it work now. So yeah, all smooth. All smooth.
Well, we're here tonight to talk about an amazing fight that you've got coming up on the PFL card. I've got a few things to ask you about, but obviously that's top of the list. Super exciting. How did it come about? When did you hear? When did you know? How much time have you had?
Well, I knew I was fighting. I don't know, over a month ago. Well, probably 7-8 weeks ago. But I was kind of told to get ready. But there's been a couple of different opponents because PFL's format of being quite close together. I think a few people perhaps weren't quite ready after. I'd actually had a couple of different names, but after the last show, I don't think that they're probably still injured or. I know missions in America, they have their mandatory suspension, so we end up having a different opponent. So Renan Ferreira instead, who's a great fight.
I mean, it is a great fight. He's obviously really well known. He's probably most well known for thinking that he'd beat Fabrizio Verdum and then that getting overturned to a no contest. That was a bit of a crazy fight, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I to be honest, I think he's 100% right. If you watch it, don't watch it in slow motion, watch it in full speed, and he sort of taps the shoulder and then hits the guy in the face. And I didn't see it. I personally, if you watch it in slow mo from this angle with that, I think that's a hard sell. And someone with Verdum's experience, to me, like you fight until the referee stops it. We saw just in the Bellator just gone for the belt, McKee. He knocked the guy down. Ref didn't stop it, so he went in and finished with a choke. But at the same time, like you never know. Like people survive things that could have been stopped. Once in a blue moon, someone who's should have been beaten survives and then goes on and wins. You got to
So for
fight
to
till he finishes it.
Anyone who didn't know, so he actually knocked Verdum out by TKO, and that was in the first round. That was what the ref called on the night, and that was what everyone thought. And then Verdum said that he'd tapped prior to that, and when they went back and studied the tape, it actually got overturned to a no contest. And I totally agree with you. I think it's really harsh. Those things hard. I've seen so many not get overturned that are way stronger cases, and I was really surprised. And then I was really surprised that Renan Ferreira was fighting again for PFL, because when he didn't get the immediate rematch, he was quite vocal about, complaining quite strongly, he and his team, about that. So good to know that they can take some criticism and put him back on.
Yeah, well, you don't know whether it was PFL or if it was the commission that did that. So, because PFL should not, promoters should not be able to overturn it. I'm sure people have influence in the back rooms and stuff, but you don't. I'm sure there's a few fights that some of the UFC would have wanted overturned. Or this, we want this, not that, but they don't. Yeah. So I don't know. To me, it was all a bit weird. It got done very, very quickly. It got done on a Sunday, which is. These people aren't working on Sundays. It was very strange, the whole thing. But I feel for Renan because that's his win bonus. He lost his win bonus. He probably lost his spot in the tournament. He should have been in the tournament, in my mind. And because Verdum, got knocked out. So, he didn't even come back and fight in PFL. So, I don't know. He didn't get a loss on his record, but he kind of did. No one's going to be like, oh, that was I don't know. The other problem I have is that kind of caught a public opinion, but hardly anybody watched the fight in full speed. Everyone sees this thing slow motion. He goes boom, boom, and it's like, well, the rules are the referee stops the fight. If you watch the fight, Verdum did not stop fighting. Verdum didn't stop fighting. I think he was hard done by. I personally felt he won the fight, but it is what it is.
I agree with you. Strange things happen in MMA all the time.
Yeah.
But that's definitely up there. But anyway, Renan went on. He's had another win for PFL since then. So this is his third fight. Great fight for you. You've got tons more experience than him. I can't believe you've been pro fighting for 11 years. How old were you when you started? You must have been 12.
Yeah, I mean, well, I had my pro. I think I was 21 when I had my debut.
You've got a baby face, Stuart.
I don't get too much. Not too much. But no, like it's it. To be honest, at heavyweight it was a hard look to find fights. Like especially and it gets worse when the worst thing was going to light heavyweight. Light heavyweight, nobody wants to fight. It's crazy. Like I know, obviously you're Luke well, and the problems he had finding a fight. You get. I've had 15, 20 people. I was a light heavyweight for 18 months, maybe just under 2 years, and I fought heavyweight out of my, three light heavyweight fights. I had a heavyweight fight in the middle just because I couldn't get anybody because nobody wants to take a chance. Nobody wants to take a risk. Yeah, and heavyweight to a lesser extent, but it's still a pain to get a fight. Nobody he's not sure this and that, but it is what it is. But now, obviously, some with PFL, people are going to show up. They get people in there. Like even I was meant to be on the last in the kind of the last round, but my visa didn't come through in time, so I literally I got my visa the day before weigh-in day, so it was just too late. But I know for that round they had I think there were meant to be 6 heavyweight fights, and they ended up having 8 guys pull out.
Oh my God!
People just don't want to fight, and I'm well aware. With licensing in the States, if you get knocked out or dropped or something, you're not going to get licensed. But some of them, I'm like, if you want to fight, you turn up and fight. Obviously, you don't want to fight. I don't know.
Yeah. I always think for that exact reason, the bigger guys need to get to those massive promotions where people are willing to take the risk to fight, to get their name out there and to use the platform. It seems to be more important. So how important do you think it is? You've fought on all the shows and you've fought every heavyweight that I could probably think of, but PFL is a major promotion, isn't it? You must be chuffed to get on that.
It's great, good. Places like the PFL where you want to be. PFL is kind of the hot new thing. It's giving you great opportunities, and it's wide open, especially at heavyweight. At heavyweight, the division is anybody could win. That the tournament right now, I don't know who's gonna. I have no idea who's gonna win that. Which is kind of crazy because for the main thing, it's $1 million. And you can't be oh my God, this guy's so, you know what I mean? It's big money, and there's not there's really, really good fighters in there, but not people this guy's the one who's 100%. There's no one out and out. The divisions are wide open and everybody is going after it because especially in the playoffs, incentivized finishes. You get more points for finishing your opponent and the faster you do it, which is it's I'm kind of torn on it. I'm as a smaller heavyweight. I'm the kind of guy I wear on. I tend to wear on people a little bit, then get them out of there. I finish most of my fights, but it tends to be second or third rounds. When I took them for a little bit of run around the cage. But no, it definitely makes the fights exciting. People take chances. And you're seeing different people pop up. You look at Brendan, the other British guy in there. He's in the semis, and he's looking really good to be potentially a finalist.
And look at Pettis getting beat,
straight
away.
No problems. People are not playing around. Big money, and people are if Right, if you're from a poor area, $1 million will change your life. If you're from Brazil, that might set your life up for good if you're not an idiot.
Yeah,
I know that would change my life. That's
definitely.
boom, house bought or whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah. Oh, 1,000,000%. And there's so little money in MMA most of the time. Nothing brings me more joy than to see people winning those kind of life-changing amounts of money. We're
Exactly.
getting some comments for you coming through already. Luke Leach says, "Boy, glad to see you finally get a fight lined up for you." He finished it on a different line. And then he says, "You look like the MMA Tom Hardy."
I mean, I'll say thank you. I don't know what I'm meant to say to that. What's the reply?
I think you take that one. It can't be an insult. MMA UK say, did playing rugby help with your MMA?
I mean, I finished playing rugby when I was 15. I
Wow.
would say, but I didn't really play rugby. I did judo a lot before. I competed a lot in judo. People assume I played rugby because if I played the young one, I probably could have been right. I've got the right sort of shape. But yeah, judo's my brand. I just play rugby for fun. But yeah.
Maybe you've done really extensive research back to your youth.
I mean, like schoolboy rugby and county rugby is.
I mentioned earlier that you fought on some huge promotions. Your last fight, you won the belt at EMC. You fought BAMA, EFC. Like, what's been the highlight so far?
I don't know. I feel like I kind of just. I'll be honest. I fought on some super cool shows. EFC down in South Africa was, it's an awesome show because it really is like mini UFC. You go down there and you're in an amazing stadium next to the casino, and like there's 5,000 people. It's amazing. It's genuinely amazing. They've got like massive screens on the outside, and you see yourself on TV all week. You're fighting in front of millions of people, which is super cool. And you get autographs in the street and stuff, and then you come home and nobody cares, which is great. It's classic MMA.
Keeps you grounded.
Yeah, I mean, I only get to just this far off the ground for a second, and then yeah. So that's EFC is super cool. I'm a big fan of the EFC. It's just at the moment because of how bad stuff is in South Africa at the moment. I know they're keeping things in house for now, but I mean, even like my last fight, EMC was super cool. Like, so because it was because everything was locked down in Germany and they weren't allowed to do events. So it was just in the UFD gym, like, and in one of the smallest cages I've ever been in. Not just a fight show, just anywhere, tiny cage. And around the room, there's a whole bunch of, as well as the guys fighting, there's all the guys who are out there training. They literally set it up on night, boom, we're having a show. And there's UFC guys, KSW, ACA, this, that, but everywhere. It's super cool. And like it really was a cool list of who's in the sport. Scott Askin was there. He just been trained, just come in the evening. Big Mike joined in the corner with Luke because Big Mike was sitting next to the corner. And Luke was in the shouting, and halfway through, like, we might decide he liked me, so he started shouting, give me cornering as well. It was a kind of super weird experience, and something like that specifically is not something I think very, very people will ever get. I don't know, like I've been like all kinds of weird places, like Sambo 70, the Russian show I fought on. Wow. I fought like garbage, but it was insane. It's like a once a year.
Why did you say you fought like garbage? What happened?
Because I thought he just out game planned me, outfoxed me, and it just went bad. It is what it is. Sometimes you just have like that night. I wasn't even. I mean, I was upset, but I was just like, oh my, what just, like I was not. He was just a better guy on the night. Sometimes that just happens, but like, it was for Putin's birthday, and you got,
Wow.
like walking, the whole city's been like cleared out,
Were you
and
fighting
you got
someone
the
Russian?
yeah. So
Was
the
just as
whole
well you
city's
didn't
been
win
cleared out.
then.
Yeah, but they got like, I don't know, whatever the modern KGB is, like marching up and down. They're all like plain clothes, but they're like plain clothes, but they've all got man bags, obviously with guns in, and they're just marching up and down the thing, and they've got this laser show with like crazy trance music from like 6 or 2 in the morning, just do the entire time. It's out on the water, so you've got to like walk down this long ass pier thing into the nightclub on the water, boats patrolling, divers in the water. It's mental. Putin didn't even show up, but they had
Oh
all
my
that. They had like
God.
they had some of the ministers and stuff there, some of the Russian ministers. That was like, I've been to a few kind of weird shows, as well as like conventionally cool, like big stadiums and cool things, but some of them were just strange, and they're kind of more fun because it's a little bit like,
Yeah.
you kind of look around and like, what on earth is going on here? It is pretty fun.
Oh, you're never going to forget that.
No way, no way.
Chris Gadden. Chris, big shout out to you. Haven't spoken to you for a while. Now that we're live on Facebook, I guess that's why you're back. So nice to hear from you, Chris. He says, "Hi, Stu. Hope you're well. Congrats on your upcoming fight. How have you dealt with your training regime during the pandemic?"
Well, like, I've got by with training. I've trained pretty hard. Obviously, they allowed pro athletes to be able to be trained fairly early, and like, before that, we were training in our bubble and all that sort of stuff. Like, to be honest, it hasn't like affected me too much. And the biggest thing it did, it forced me to actually train slightly less, which I think for me it was a good thing, because I'm flipping out. I'm 33. That's the first time I said it last week. So I'm starting to get to the point where I hate when people say work hard. Like, I am working hard, but maybe doing 13 sessions a week, I just need to do 11. I mean, there's only so much skill work you can do. There's a point in time where, like, maybe just take a couple of sessions out has actually helped me quite a bit. So yeah, I've not really found it that hard in the pandemic, and I think anyone who wanted to train, like, who's a professional, could train. And if they couldn't, then they're making excuses. They didn't want to. Like, I could pick up the phone and speak to people, and people are going to turn up. And sure, a couple of days few weeks we trained in the park, we met up in like, and whatever, and that is what it is. But we got it done. We took mats in the car and stuff. We made things happen. So yeah, but I know for like people who are a little bit more casual, it's not the same. But if you want to train, you can train. And also, Chris, super old school fan. Like, you've been literally since the start of my career. He's been traveling the country. Chris is a big traveler, UK MMA legend of a fan. Yeah, he's been going a long time.
I bet he can't wait for fans to be let back in of the local shows.
They can now already.
Yeah,
they're in there. We've been we're up in oh my word! I've been 3 shows in 3 weeks and I've forgotten where. Went to Bristol first, to Meltdown, which was a brilliant show. Paul Sutherland, that was great. And then I was at an interclub in Rochester, the Fight Star. That was good. I took a bunch of my young lads from Fight Zone. They did great. And then last weekend, Almighty Fighting Championships, and that was awesome. That was packed. They had so many people. I'm assuming there's no restrictions because they were packed
or
out.
you're out in them if there are.
100%. It was great. Almighty was so busy. Like, yeah, no, it was really cool. But I think that was literally just after last weekend. I don't know if there's any restrictions left. I don't really keep up with that sort of thing. But it was super cool, super busy. We had, we've had a bunch of guys fight and win. Had Bertie first amateur debut. big 6'6" middleweight. It's absolutely ginormous. So yeah, he had his amateur debut and got a first round win, and then like I said, a load of young sort of interclub guys from where I coach and Fight Zone, and then last weekend pro debut Louis Sutherland, heavyweight and sparring partner of mine, who's going to be a beast. It was crazy. He knocked the guy out in the first round. I think it was as the guy fell, either dislocated or broke his ankle, like Anderson Silva Weidman. Connor style literally popped. It was brutal, absolutely brutal. And that's also, to be honest, that's how you know Almighty's a good show, because the ankles were there, the splints, strapped him up, took him out very carefully. It was really good. I was actually very impressed. Kind of disgusted at the injury because nobody noticed it, because it was as he got knocked out, got hit with a big overhand right, goes down, and everyone's obviously jumping up and down. Because it was a very big knockout.
And it was a knockout, yeah.
And then people were like, all of a sudden, the whole stadium changed when people realised his ankle was just like, it's kind of bouncing around.
Can you imagine coming out, you've been knocked out, you wake back up, and then you realise your leg's hanging off. That's a really bad night.
So well to it. Yeah, I don't know. They had him with the gas and stuff to chill him out. They got it in the stint, and they half carried him and half hopped out. He wasn't even on a stretcher. I don't know if that's shock or I don't know, but whatever it was, like, he was and sort of sat down on the side. But yeah, he's a tough customer. That guy, tough customer for sure.
Yeah, he sounds it.
I think I'd be screaming. I'd be like.
Well, that was a very good advert for all the local shows. I am so glad they're all back up and running. I can't wait to get to my first one and support everyone and get back on the mic, and it's going to be really exciting. But for you, what's your preference in terms of fighting in front of fans, no fans? Does it bother you either way?
No, I don't really care. Yeah, I don't know. I did quite like I only did it. I've done it once, and I quite like the no fans thing. Like, there was people in the room, but it wasn't like a stadium. I quite enjoyed it. It was just, I don't know. It's a little bit more Fight Clubby, mean, dingy.
Underground.
There was something to it, but we definitely weren't in like a UFC TV studio sort of thing. So again, it's like, there's different levels to it. It was just an MMA gym with the lights turned off, basically. So it was quite cool. But yeah, but like, at the end of the day, it's about the fans, isn't it? I know the UFC did amazing, but everybody else, the UFC might have had their best year ever, but I'm pretty sure everyone else had their worst year ever, or just nothing.
And doesn't he always say it's their best year ever, whatever happens, anyway?
It's like, pay them more if it's the best year ever.
He won't pay anyone, will he?
Pull the wallet out. They're giving a few more bonuses out now. They're giving 6 bonuses on the last one a couple of times. And they're starting to do the same. I into bonuses. I think bonuses are actually, I think that's like a big con, the bonus structure. Not, cool, people want the money, but just disperse it all. And then, I don't know. I think people would fight. I don't like the idea of show money and win money. Like, it is what it is. It's endemic in the sport. But I think, if you got just it's not going to make me fight harder. I'm not going out there to like lose just because I'm fighting a 6'8" Brazilian cat. He's a big monster. I'm not going to go and let that dude jump near me in the face just because I'm going to get the same money either way. Do you know what I mean? Like,
This is true. This is very true. So we talked about some of the promotions that you fought on, but I want to talk about some of the names you fought as well, because it's literally like a who's who. I remember your fight against Johnny Walker at UCMMA, but probably the biggest one on there, the Tom Aspinall win. Looking back, that's got to be even sort of more satisfying, knowing like what a big jiu-jitsu pedigree he's from, and the fact that you subbed him like that, like that's got to feel great.
Yeah, it's good. Tom Aspinall, obviously he's a great fighter. He's an absolute beast, and he's red hot at the moment. But like, I knew going into that fight he was very high level jiu-jitsu. He was a black belt when I fought him, and obviously his dad was a black belt, so he's got that kind of family pedigree. So like before that fight, we were doing a bunch of jiu-jitsu. He'd I think heel hooked a guy just before, so we'd been really focusing on leg lock defense. So I literally done no offensive leg locks, and it was just there. But once you've done the defense, I already knew the basic offense for it, and it was just there. But it, as wins goes, that one ages like a fine wine as he creeps his way up the ladder. But like I'm not ready to be the guy who's like got my stick out yet and I beat this guy, I fought that guy, guy was a tough, like I've still got a few. Hopefully, I've got a few more Tom Aspinalls I can add to my charter at the moment. Like and you see him like the way like he came back from that, and like I know he got another loss, but it was kind of a bit of a weird thing. It went on in that fight, but since then he's been a monster. Like he's been untouchable. And even at the time, like I'm pretty sure when I got offered him, like nobody wanted to fight him. And I was coming off a couple of losses. So I turned around and was like, look, like this is a good motivator because this kid is young. He's going to be a monster. And like he's going to look to take me out. So, for me, that's motivating. It's a motivating factor. Someone young and hungry and mean who everyone's, like scared to fight. That's who I want to fight. This, like to my mind, that's my fight now. The guy's young. He's mean. He's big. He's beating people up. He's got all this heat on him, and that motivates me more to fight. The stress increases my drive to get after somebody, to train hard and to turn up on the night.
Oh, 100%. And I think you're right. Like that's definitely not going to be the highlight of your career that you're telling people about. There's a lot more to come, and one day Johnny Walker might be saying, "Oh, there was a time where I managed to get the win over him," and that would be the pinnacle of his career. So, 100%. But you would go on.
Sorry, the other thing is I just don't try and look back. It's like, who cares? Like in 10 years' time, nobody's going to know who Johnny Walker, Stuart Austin, maybe Tom's still young, so they might still know who he is. But 20 years' time, all of us are going to be gone, and all this legacy, nobody cares. Like, guys coming up now don't know who Forrest Griffin is. People don't barely know who Chuck Liddell is. People barely know who Chuck Liddell is. You talk to them and they have not, like. I mean, I was speaking to a kid who trains with me, and he's a southpaw, and I was like, I want you to look at some Lyoto Machida because the guy's very good. He's got a very specific, elusive style. Footwork fantastic. He manages it, and I'm saying, and he's like, sorry, who? And the guy at one time was, like undefeated UFC champion. He's a monster, and he's still competitive. He's Bellator, and he's a great fighter, and like I'm never going to achieve probably those heights, that's my goal to achieve that. So like I don't worry about like who cares, like as long as one day someone can go on YouTube and see a couple of oh yeah, you actually were a fighter, see look at oh yeah, you beat some guys, that's cool, whatever, who cares, like nobody's there in 20 years time. Like all I'm gonna be worried about is if I have a gym or what, like I'm gonna be worried about the people going forwards, like people I'm training then, what they can do, people hang their hat on their own achievements,
that is a refreshing attitude. And also the fact that you said that it was motivating to take a really tough fight coming off a couple of losses. A lot of people would think, oh, I need to build myself back up a bit before I take a fight like that, but you just don't seem like you're kind of that fixated on it. You're just like you want the tough fights and you want something you can get excited about.
I think, to be honest, I've hurt myself because for a decent amount of my career I was self-managed, and I've done okay. I've done good, but like I'm a little bit old school in that I'm willing to fight. I like the idea of a challenge. I'm not just like I think it would be hard to accuse me of taking the easy road. You know, like I've not
Definitely.
looked for easy fights. I could have easily, like, I had to sit down and talk to some people. Well, a while back now, and I was just like, look, I should have scattered in some easier fights. I should have, and I'd have had 10 more wins on my record. You know, you banging, you know, not idiots, but guys who are beatable fighters. You bang one a year in, and it doesn't take. I could still have fought the rough guys and have those, and all of a sudden got 20 wins or 25 wins, and you know, and all of a sudden your record looks like a monster, and I still wouldn't have been hiding, but you know, it is what it is. Like the problem is when you fight the guys and you win some and you lose some, but you know, like you have crazy fights with people. It scares people off. You know, they know you're there to. No one's getting an easy night against me. You know, like I'm a tough fight for anybody really. Like, and you know, like now I'm with a good management team now, and
You're with
hopefully
Rubenstein, aren't you?
yeah,
Daniel Rubenstein?
Ruby
Yeah.
Sports Entertainment, yeah. So we sort of like when I actually had a conversation with them, I after my last fight, I was looking for some. I'm just like I'm actually treading water here now, and I want to get to the next level. So I reached out to him, and he was absolutely great, and immediately, you know, we had a conversation about what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go, and you know, this is the path I'm on now. You know, I'm actually taking that path now. So rather than sort of just jumping around wherever fight, yeah, sure, I'll fight that. Oh, nobody wants to fight. Yeah, I'll fight that guy. No problem. You know what I mean? So now it's trying to take an upward trajectory rather than wherever and whenever.
Yeah, it's just a bit more focused. I'm excited for you, very, very excited. But a couple more things I wanted to ask you about before we go. Sorry, it is running over a bit. You, but I hope you're not desperate for the
Sorry.
lube or anything.
Sorry, do I talk a lot? Nobody's told me that before.
I think it's me. It's definitely me. Don't worry.
People keep telling me I should start my own show because apparently I'm able to talk quite a bit about nothing at all.
No, it's good. It's been really interesting. But I wanted to ask you, you did mention earlier about the 18 months when you fought at light heavyweight, and I've seen the pictures and I've also seen the post that you put up about people telling you that you should go back to light heavyweight or cut to light heavyweight again. And like, to me, you look like a natural heavyweight. Like it just fits your frame. You look so strong and healthy. It doesn't occur to me that you would ever go back to light heavyweight. But is that a question that you get a lot then?
Not as much anymore, but it still comes up. Like, when I was cutting to light heavyweight, like on fight week, I was cutting minimum 10 kilos, just in water. And I know some people do that, but I mean, for me, I was pretty lean when I was doing that. Like it was rough.
Your
And
face looks very gaunt.
oh yeah, I mean, like right now, I'm sitting at about 113 kilos. Um, and I don't eat like a lunatic heavyweight who just goes out and eats crap whenever they want. You know, I'm still pretty
Yeah.
healthy with my diet. But like when I was a heavyweight prior to my light heavyweight run, I could never get above 107 kilos. For whatever reason, 107 was the number I got to. So that's like about I don't know, 235, something like that.
Yeah.
And then on every single fight week, because of whatever the stress or whatever, I would lose like 2-3 kilos, and I'd weigh in at 102, 103, and everyone like, oh, you're so light, you need to go down. And every time I got shows, like people would they'd see me and they'd be like, oh, you know, your guy's kind of big, you know, maybe you should be careful, and especially then I was smashing everyone, you know, like I was pretty dominant in the early part of my career, as you are when you're fighting on the lower level shows. And I just never saw it. And then when I did do it, I just, like, after I fought Johnny, I retired just because I was honestly hating life all the time. My body was wrecked all the time. I ended up having several surgeries. Well, I'm talking about just one surgeries, but I had several injuries that I had long-term injuries that I needed to fix. And as soon as I started eating more, I had surgery on my elbow, and within 3 weeks of surgery on my elbow, my weight went from like I think it was about 304 up to 113 in 3 weeks, and like it was just like all these injuries that I'd had been building up, and then I just let myself heal. And I think I had constant inflammation on my elbow, like pain. Like there'd be days where I wouldn't be able to cut food with a knife and fork, or like drink with a cup, like with this arm, because like it was just absurd. And the doctor, like the surgeon, when he tested my elbow, they sort of take it and they push it back, and I'm like, I was like, be careful as you do this, because this is going to hurt me. And he assumed it was a bit of a boo-boo hurt. And like back then, I would tap to just pressure. So like if someone's jiu-jitsu and they're hitting, I couldn't do that, because if someone put weight down, I can't even tap. It's not like I would scream, because it's that painful. So I just wouldn't put my arm in. So the doctor, I got like someone's electrocuted, jumped out of the chair, the way, and he was like, oh, and within under a month, I put on like 7-8 kilos. And then within 6 weeks, I was up to 115, 116, no problem whatsoever. And I got a little softer, but like there was a lot of lean tissue going on. I just think like my body's just been so damaged for so long, and it just needed some time. And just having that time off, and like I felt amazing. So it just felt physically, it's like a revival. Like I'm 5 years younger, and it's great. And sometimes you don't know what you don't know. That's the only surgery I've ever had, and I've always tried to avoid it, but I think it's the only surgery I needed as well, but I needed it, and I wasted 4 or 5 years of my career, and I maybe took some, I don't know, I might have took some loss I didn't need to take. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, you don't know that, but I've certainly missed, I guess over 4 years, 5 years, I wouldn't surprise me if I've missed 8, 10, 12 months of training, like with, can't train for 2 weeks here, can't train for a week there, can't do this day, can't do that, like, just because of the pain I had with it, and and it is what it is. You just deal with it. You just suck it up. But then I think I see so many guys who like, boom, surgery. And I'm like, did you speak to a surgeon? Surgeons like to do surgery.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You got to find a balance between the two.
I agree, because people always say about Cain Velasquez as well, that he's like too tough for his own good, and like just trained through injuries and kept on.
Me and Cain, yeah, just
peas in a
like
pod.
this. Peas in a pod too, just the same. I'm just like him.
Chris Scadden says, I remember the early days when no bugger wanted to fight him. Well, he's got a fight now, Chris. And then I just wanted to finish up by asking you, like, the heavyweight division in the UFC obviously was under the spotlight this weekend when Cyril Gane beat Derek Lewis. I wanted to ask what you thought of that fight, and if it went the way you expected.
Like, I have to say, I was secretly a little bit of a believer in Derek Lewis. I was secretly a believer, but like, I mean, Gane just like every time he fights, he gets better and more dominant. I liked in this fight he took less risks. The reason I thought Derek had a good chance, because Gane does take some risks and will go into exchanges, and until he really smelt blood, he just didn't do that. He was pretty sharp, but like, in terms of his movement, his in and out, his disengagements, and his control of Derek Lewis's base was amazing. So Derek Lewis, like, I know it's not perhaps the most exciting way to fight, but the way he's attacking Derek Lewis's legs and taking his base away just means there's no way those big power punches are going to land. That's why the crazy kicks were the only thing that could land, because he's throwing from such a long distance. But like, attacking the base, the push kicks to the leg, the leg kicks, just constant feints, moving in and making Derek not sure what to do, whether he should be moving in or out, or it was a real masterpiece. It's amazing. Like, that guy's the best technician at heavyweight in the world for sure. Like, there's
and he
moves
like somebody a lot lighter, I think, he's
He tries
so,
to though.
yeah.
Heavyweights can. I'll be honest. I move pretty good. Not as good as him. I move pretty good, but I try to move.
Yeah.
I practice that sort of stuff. Like most heavyweights practice plodding around, throwing punches at each other and until someone falls over and hitting pads and banging the bag. Because it's cool. That guy's practiced, engaged, disengaged, circle round, engaged. He's really, he knows what he's doing. He's he's impressive.
He is impressive. How do you see a fight going with him and Ngannou?
I mean, he's better than Ngannou, but again, it's just that thing, isn't it? It's like, I mean, looking at the way he beat Derek Lewis, for sure. Yeah, I mean, he's not going to be scared. Part of the reason Ngannou gets people, he's got mad power, but he catches people panicking.
Yeah.
Like, if you draw a circle around your feet, put your feet on the edge of the circle, right? You want your head inside that circle. Once your head goes outside the circle, every time you get hit, it's real bad. So when people lean forward over it, real bad. Lean back, like Rosenstruck, real bad. And Stipe come charging onto a shot. He had one moment of hit a great right hand and then come storming for. People are just panicking against Ngannou, and Cyril Gane is not gonna. I just don't see him panicking. When you spy a guy that much, I don't think he's gonna panic. But the only X factor sometimes I think is that a little bit of the big brother syndrome. Like if Ngannou was bashing him around, back in the day, then maybe there's a little bit of oh, this guy's, it's still going to be in his head a little bit. But equally, it could be the other way around because Cyril was a Muay Thai fighter. Maybe he was having his way with Ngannou in the striking and stuff. Maybe Ngannou's in his head I don't know about that. Cyril's always said, "Oh, I'm willing to fight him." Ngannou's always kept his mouth quiet, and that's sometimes telling. But I think you can't go against Cyril after the weekend. It was pure dominance.
So you've got him in that fight then?
Yeah, 100%. I'd back him against any of the heavyweights right now.
Anyone? What about John Jones moving to heavyweight? Do you think it will happen? And why do you think they're now saying 2022?
Well, because they don't need him anymore, do they? They've got Ngannou lined up, and Gunnar. They've got Stipe waiting in the wings. And by that time, there's going to be someone else. There'll be Volkov or Curtis Blades or something. One of the other guys. They'll be waiting. They'll be ready. Maybe Derek will be back. That's kind of the part and parcel. That's the beautiful thing about the UFC and the problem, because when they keep the wheels turning, it is amazing because that's why the sport is so exciting. But also at the same time, that's where unfortunately the fighters lose power. I know what John's trying to do. John talking about people getting paid and what they deserve. I get it, and I think he's whether it's selfish or not, he's trying to do the right thing, whether it's the right reasons or not, whatever. But he's not going about the right way. He's got to have a dialogue with other people, surely. One person can't step out. Nobody's big in the sport, including McGregor. You know what I mean? Last year proved that. They didn't need McGregor to do really well. They were doing just fine without him. And then, that is the sport. That is what it is. And I don't know. We'll see.
When these storylines naturally develop, though, I feel like a lot of times they pick someone that they want to build to be a star, like Macy Barber, and then they're putting her on all the main cards, and they're trying to rocket someone to the moon who's not ready for it. If they give the division a bit of space, I mean, I think Gane has climbed the ranks super quickly, but even
he's
so,
done it off the backs of vet. He's beat good guys, only good. Yeah. He's only Tanabosa is massively underrated, and Gane, controlled that fight. And you look at with hindsight as well, you see Tanabosa not getting finished, you're like, oh wow, that's quite impressive. Guys like him, Rosenstruck is a beast. You know, like he's not had an easy route, but it's also like he's been so impressive. You can't just let him tread water because you know he's in the UFC after he had 3 fights in the UFC. You know, the only person really got quicker than that, like Brock Lesnar or Kane. Kane was after 2, wasn't he? He's that level of talent. You know, he's a Cain Velasquez level of talent. You know, complete different style of fighter, but
yeah,
he's amazing. You know, like he's got 6 wins in the UFC heavyweight division. He never got rocked. Never looked in trouble. So, what else would you do with him?
No, this is exactly what I do with him. I'm well buzzing for that fight whenever it happens. I'm properly looking forward to it. But
what about Garner and Jones? That's a cool fight.
That's a very cool fight.
That's
there's a lot you can
technicians.
do, it will be interesting to see if Jones gets what he wants. I'm sure he'll pretend that he gets what he wants if he comes back either way, or whether he ends up folding now he sees that they maybe don't need him as much in
Maybe just retire.
Maybe
he doesn't need them.
He doesn't need the money.
He's already John Jones. You know,
Yeah.
there's not going to be another John Jones anytime soon.
No, it makes me sad though. Him and Connor, it does make me sad how much time they've had out of the cage for particularly John, how good he is, and some of the fights we've seen him in, and how many years we've not seen him in the cage. I would have loved to see more.
But you also think, why was he out of the cage? What was the reason John Jones was out of the cage?
Oh, himself most of the time.
But the big one was steroids, yeah.
Yeah.
And he come back. How did he look after he come back? Dominant.
Yeah, he didn't look the same, did he?
Not the same fighter. And I know everyone has the same, thing and this and that, but I don't know. I'm a fan of what he does and some of the techniques he uses and stuff, but I'm personally not like. You know, like I'm sure he's an amazing fighter, done some amazing things, but to me, when people are saying greatest of all time, I'm like, you can put him in the old era with the certain guys with like the different era with the Chuck Liddells and the if you want to but in the new era,
in the USADA era.
I'd rather like a guy who's never failed, personally.
Yeah.
And
So who is your GOAT?
Well, I mean, GSP, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's just done so much. Maybe he wasn't the most exciting, but I think he's
an amazing ambassador for the sport as well.
100%, yeah. Like even like people talk about like Khabib and stuff, and like Khabib was the best at the time, was the pound for pound best at the time, but he doesn't have the resume of a George, like the longevity. And I know in terms of pure numbers of fights, he's got, same or more, but at the same time, it's like George beat different guys in different eras multiple times. He was a beast.
A lot of them were probably on steroids as well.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. He might have been, but like at the end of the day, he never failed a test. That's the only thing you can go on. That's the only thing you can go on. Yeah. But unfortunately, I hate to say it with these sports, like the guys who shout the loudest, are often the guiltiest. Like Lance Armstrong was a big anti. But also, again, in that sport, everybody was doing it. Like, with John Jones, I'm kind of a bit torn because, back in it was everybody. All those guys were doing it before USADA. All of them were doing it.
They're all doing it.
A large proportion
of it. Be done to get caught, right? Because not everyone's popping. What do you think of TJ coming back? 2 years doesn't seem a lot for injecting EPO to me.
I don't know. I mean, it's also like what? The only thing he was doing was EPO. Like, what, EPO is the first thing you go to? Like, one of the most elaborate scientific things? Come on. It's like all the John Jones excuses, he's supplement this and he's blah, blah, blah. Like, John Jones got caught for an anti-estrogen.
Yeah, a masking agent, right?
Yeah. So it clearly did its job. It did the right job. It masked the thing. So, we didn't get the 5 different things he did test positive for. It is what it is. I don't know. Like, if people don't fail, that as far as I'm concerned, they've not cheated. Whether you like it or not, nobody says that, nobody even suggests that Nani might be on something. But if you put him 10 years ago, everyone would be like, oh, and Ghana's, even if it's the same guy, you don't know. Like, if he's not failing the test, then he's clean. He's clean until you fail. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. You never know. Like, I don't know.
God, imagine how powerful he'd be on steroids. Oh my God.
But that's what I'm saying. But he is. How do you know that he isn't? And the other thing is, there's a point of diminishing returns. He's not just powerful. I'm confident Brock Lesnar could hit as hard as Ngannou. I'm confident he could. But sometimes it's putting on the chin at the right point. You know what I mean? Like, and the other thing as well, people with testosterone, one of the big things in sports with it is reaction speed. It's huge in reaction speed. Testosterone is related to it, and that makes a massive difference.
Yeah.
Like, our sport is a reaction speed sport. Its power is max power isn't really that related to your results as a fighter. Like, otherwise you would just get all the Olympic lifters or some what I mean, some other sport, because they just hit the hardest because they can produce the most force, produce the most power. You've still got to deliver it, and that's what Ngannou does.
He certainly does. But back to you and your massive fight. It's on Thursday, the 19th of August. It's going to be a late night for all of us who've got work the next day, but it's well worth staying up for. I think here, isn't it? Is it Fight TV that you have to buy the pay-per-view through? I think it is.
Yes.
I'll find out and I'll put it under this
No, I think it is Fight TV. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it is. And because in Ireland, I'm pretty sure they got it on YouTube, but here you have to go through Fight TV.
Super cool if it was on YouTube. So easy.
But either way, it's definitely worth staying up for, making it a late night, and it's going to be amazing. I'm so chuffed to see you on this show. I feel like it's just going to be such an exciting time for you, and I can't wait to see it. I also can't believe this is the first time we've spoken. Amazing. So I'm glad I got to wish you well for this one. I'm super pumped.
Yeah, thank you very much. My debut. I feel like I should have spoke to Luke sooner or something. Maybe get me in with. Get Luke to give me the nod. Give me the blessing so that I could. No, I'm super excited for the fight. I think it's gonna be a bit wild. To be honest, I think it's gonna be one of those ones we're both getting hit in the face. So I think it's gonna be exciting. I think I think it's gonna be hectic. That first round is gonna be hectic, and I think whoever dictates the pace and controls the the speed of the fight in that first round is really gonna take the initiative for the whole match. So I'm excited. I've been working hard, and we'll see. I'm not the sort of person.
Just listening to you talk about it is getting me even more buzzing for it. When do you fly out to Florida? It is in Florida, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just flying out Sunday. Because the weather's quite hot there, humidity, but it's not high altitude or anything, so I don't want to go too early because I prefer to train at home and stay at home, and then just sort of I'm coming back on Friday, so I'm there and gone as fast as I can, to be honest. I'm gonna bounce. But yeah, no, I'm excited. So we'll see what happens. It's a big show, the first time in a long time. Back out in the States. So yeah, kind of go and roll the dice. I'll go and knock a big Brazilian over, come back with a big bag of cash. Well, pretty sure it'll be a bank transfer, unfortunately. I'd love a big bag. There's nothing better than walking through customs with there's nothing better than walking through customs with cash and being like, oh no. Always under the limit. Always under the limit. Yeah.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Is there anyone you want to thank or any sponsors you want to shout out before we go?
Oh, just yeah. Well, all the normal people. Titan Fighter, obviously. It's where I train all my guys. Mickey, Luke, all my partners there. Fighter Zone. Where I work. All my students as well. It's always good to give me ideas, give me things to think about. Vigorate. Sure, you get more than a few Vigorate sponsors there, but Neil at Vigorate, not only with the keeping me healthy with the body wash and stuff there, but also he's a osteopath and a bit of a magic worker. Keeps me moving as I get older.
Guy, does a lot
keeps
for
me
the
alive.
sport.
Yeah, he really is. He's a top guy. Really helps me a lot. And invest in the athletes as well, which is not everyone does. A lot of people want to fire. Oh, I'll give you a T-shirt of this and that. And where's my 45 picture? Which is I understand. People are trying to promote their brand, but Neil actually gives. Really gives a lot. Not only time, but his knowledge and experience as well in multiple fields. So he's a nice guy and a good person, I would say.
Very good.
But yeah, and last person as well. Well, not last person. My lady Fleur. She's in the other room now. She's probably listening at the door in case I say something bad.
Hey Fleur.
No, she's awesome. She literally put I think a lot of partners do, but she puts up with a whole bunch, and I'm sure on Thursday she's just going to be crying herself because she stresses about it. She stresses a lot, but she's so supportive and a big part of it for me. A really big part of my journey.
Amazing. Well, we are so supportive of you and so excited to see you show what you've got in the cage, and just so proud of you already, and just buzzing for the fight. And hearing you talk about the fights just made me even more excited for it. I honestly can't wait.
Yeah, me too. Thursday, a week Thursday, not this Thursday, a week on Thursday.
Thursday the 19th. Yeah.
Get up at 3 a.m, whenever it is, 2, 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Don't go to work on Friday. Pie it off. Stay up. Watch me brush someone around and boom, boom.
Yeah, work's for losers. Just stay up.
Exactly. Work is for losers.
Knocking someone out.
Invest in cage. All you need to do is train for 5 to 10 years, 10 to 20 hours a week, and it'll be a great investment. It really will. And you might be good. And if you're not good, then, well, at least you'll be beaten up and brain cells on the way. You'll have a bunch of old injuries. Fantastic. It's a real investment. Work is for losers. That is the exact right idea.
Some great advice there at the end, Stuart. Thank you so much for your time. You safe travels and stay fit and healthy, and we'll speak to you on the other side, I hope.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Take care. Bye-bye.